Today on Larry King Now, Oscar winner Matthew McConaughey on his highly anticipated new film, Interstellar.
I've never seen a film that absolutely has earned the right and deserves to be seen on screen in a theater more than Interstellar, hands down.
What he thinks about the new True Detective cast.
I'm excited about it. I understand Colin's got a plum role, of which I'm confident. He's absolutely got the ability to go nail that, whatever that is. I'm also very excited about the Vince Vaughn side.
It's a departure for him.
I think we got a real chance to see Vince in a way that we'd like to see him that we haven't seen before.
Plus, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, that invisible one's pretty
Me
interesting.
too. Invisible, man.
No need to fly.
No need to fly. So all next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. We're at the Four Seasons Hotel in Beverly Hills. In just under a year's time, the world has seen one of its favorite movie stars ascend to an extraordinary new level. Matthew McConaughey, one of my old friends, a wine-tasting man with me, garnered praise from critics and audiences alike for his Emmy-nominated role as Detective Rust Cole in HBO's True Detective. He won the Golden Globe and the Academy Award for Best Actor for his role as Ron Woodruff in Dallas Buyers Club. And now with Interstellar, Matthew is starring in one of the most highly anticipated films of the year. I saw it last night. It's safe to say there is no movie like this movie.
Not that I've seen.
Would you agree?
I would definitely agree.
When you read the script, what did you think?
Wow. Pretty awe-inspired. A little intimidated by how Chris and his brother's mind work in what they wrote. I mean, it was hard to conceive, you know, what they conceived on the page. Imagination went wild. And at the base of it, I saw something as an actor that I was like, oh, it's still a very intimate and personal story. I want to be in the wild, adventurous ride that Chris is going to create. I could see that on the page, but I also wanted something where I could go have a personal experience, like a very intimate level, the father-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
And it had both of those. And it was obvious that the script was balanced with both of those, and that's what I had never seen before.
And all the terms you had to use, the scientific terms, were those easy to remember? You're not a scientist.
No, but they were easy for me to remember once I understood them, and that's what a lot of my work was in pre-production, to spend time with Kip Thorne, or during production. One of my favorite interactions daily was with Chris, to sit there and talk about what are the rules of this world, this geography of this set, this world. Let's talk about gravity here. What's it mean? How's it different? How's time running different in this scene?
Did you learn a lot?
I understood those things. Yeah, learned a lot. Like I said, I wouldn't be the guy to write an expert paper on it, but I could sure as hell have a better conversation about it.
When you do a movie like this and you're in this space outfit, and then you're in scenes, and then when you watch it finished, are you surprised by a lot of what you see?
Well, this film, probably more than any other film I've done, I really didn't have a locked image in my imagination of what it was going to be. There were so many abstractions, and again, Christopher's mind, the way it works. I mean, I got to see practically on the day what sets were built, what was in his imagination, what he was realizing, but I had no idea what to expect the whole journey was going to be. So I was pretty awe-inspired after seeing it.
And the music?
Music's great. Hans Zimmer.
Was it
Very
a tough
simple.
shoot?
Because it was long and hard, because it was over 5 months, and it was a physical shoot. It was tough in that respect. But it wasn't tough. Look, it's tougher for me when there's a lot of wasted time. Chris wastes no time.
Oh.
No time. And so when you're actually shooting, it's very much like an independent film. He moves fast, raw, naturally. The day moves very quickly. You just do a lot in a day.
You've said this is the first time I've had expectations going into a film.
The first time I've had expectations? Yeah. I'm trying to think what I may have been trying to mean. I've had expectations going into a lot of different films, but I mean, look, this one, this was built to have support around it. Maybe what I was talking about is a lot of the films that I've been doing here recently were smaller films that we were sort of the underdog to even get it made. And then we got it made, and hopefully it did well, and hey, we got distribution. This one was built. This was built to be a large declaration.
There's no one said about Dallas Buyers Club, oh, this can't,
Nobody wanted to put a penny up for that. No.
Let's finance it about this guy who's dying.
Nobody wanted to finance that.
You know, it must be said, I don't like to refer to myself, but Matthew and I go back a long way. In fact, we did a scene together in Contact.
Sure did.
That movie, that was a space movie, which is nothing compared to this space movie.
No, that different. But I will say that's the movie that got me somewhat interested in just being able to go further than just my imagination, realizing what might be out there. Oh, that may be the new frontier, space. That's the film that got me thinking about, you know, for me, God's backyard was bigger than I thought, and it was more tangible. And in this one, I get to actually go explore it. You know, Interstellar, I get to actually go there.
Yeah. And would you say you watch Interstellar, you would less believe in God or more believe in God?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. And I've thought about that a lot. For me, more. At the same time, the science behind it, or if you're an agnostic, I think you're going to absolutely love it. And I think you're going to absolutely love it. But it, yeah, for me it does. That's personal.
Now, there's a lot we can't say about this film, and I'm not going to ruin it or anything. But do you like all the surprises about this? Don't say this. You can't say this.
Yeah.
Like I gave quotes for this movie, and I gave you this is one of your great roles, and you're tremendous in it. But you can't say that this person's in it, and don't say this. You
Can't
like
say
that?
This. I do. It's a new challenge now. Meaning, we're doing press. We're talking to you, so I want to speak freely. You've seen the movie. Let's talk about the movie. No?
Nope.
Wait a minute. They haven't seen it. No, and there's certain things you cannot say. But it's kind of fun because we're this little team, and we all have an unsaid sort of handshake that we don't give away spoilers, that we don't tell certain things. There's no contract written. We didn't have to go get fingerprinted. You know what I mean? But everyone, it became fun because it is nice, number one, to share something, especially today, for someone to be able to get their first experience when they go to the theater to watch it, instead of seeing the entire thing written up or know everything that the film's going to be about beforehand.
This will not be a movie on your small screen at home.
No, and I'll say this.
This is a go-to-the-theater movie.
I've never seen a film that absolutely has earned the right and deserves to be seen on screen in a theater more than Interstellar. Hands down.
Absolutely.
Hands down.
Hands
This is
down.
a hell of a ride and an experience that you're going to get. And if you can get it in IMAX with the sound and the sight.
Oh, yeah. How good are you at predicting? How well will it do?
I don't know. My mind has not even gone into that spot. I'll be listening along the way here when people say, how are we tracking? I'll do, like we're just starting press, I'll do out another 3 weeks of press. I'll get an amateur feel, and then I'll throw a number out there at the end, which I always like to do, and I've never been right, but I'll do it like everyone else.
Well, I'm glad you're beginning with us, Matthew. Matthew and I did a wine testing for Michael Milken, right?
Yeah, we sure did.
We shared the same wines at the same.
did.
Oh, we go back. Up next, Matthew will discuss his experience on True Detective, and he'll reveal what he thinks of the new cast. Don't go away. We're back with Matthew McConaughey, stars with a great cast in Interstellar. It's such a great cast, there's something I can't even tell you about the cast. With another wild thing, but it is one heck of a movie. It's a ride. You're going on a ride, and you're going to ride with him in a great role. Last year, in terms of your career, you said, I've got much more selfish. I'm a fan of the word selfish. I am less concerned what people think of me. I'm not worried about how I'm perceived. Selfish has always gotten a bad rap. You should do for you.
Yeah.
I wanted new experiences.
Yes.
You're not an Ayn Rand guy, are you? Or are you? No.
I don't think so.
In terms of selfish, how do you define the word?
Look, I think anything, the ideal spot, all right, where I like to be, and I'm not always there, but where I love to be is when what I'm doing selfishly for me, even hedonistically for me, happens to be what's best for the most amount of people. That's the sweet spot. But then that's for guys like Jesus Christ and so what have you, other prophets. I'm not saying I'm there very few times, Emma, but that's the spot. And I think anything, look at Interstellar. What Cooper does, he wants to fly selfishly, to live his dream. Is it also for the chance to actually save mankind? Yeah, but he also has his own personal quest that if he didn't get to, he's got some spite for this world because that's what he's supposed to do. His home is in the cockpit. So I think I like to personally try and find a selfish reason why I want to do everything.
Yeah, I understand that.
And also there's delayed gratification is what I'm saying. What is selfish is not necessarily I have to have the pleasure right now. Because if you get the pleasure right now but you have a bad hangover tomorrow, that's not very selfish. Also, if you're lying, cheating, and stealing, that may be selfish right then, but that means you got to walk out in the world and look over your shoulder.
So in a sense, I'm selfish because I want this show to do well.
Yeah.
Do well at projection.
Right. And if you're going to screw some people over, is that selfish? Not really. Maybe you get the reward immediately, but that also means you got to look over your shoulder wherever you go. That also means that you can't really walk freely around the world. So that would be not selfish.
Are you happy in your fame?
Yeah, I am pretty happy in my fame. I mean, I cashed that check a long time ago. So I've worked to embrace it and say, well, let me understand what my relationship is with it, because I don't want to fight against it. Again, if I really want to fight against it, there are places on the globe I could move. I know some places in Northwest Africa where nobody would know my name nor give a damn. So I'm not going to really stay here and kind of about it. So relationship-wise is instead of probably in my life now, I look at it less like, oh, I'm this guy and I'm famous. I'm like, no, you know what? I'm McConaughey. I happen to be a celebrity. I'm also an actor. I'm also a father. I am also this. And throw them all in the pot and say it's part of the deal.
And you accept all the good and bad that goes with that, right?
It's big. I mean, it's going to be much more good
is
than
what
bad.
it is.
It has its annoyances, sure, but...
Tell me about the relationship with you and Woody, a True Detective. We had Michelle Monaghan on the show in September, and this is what she had to say about you two. What about working with two great guys, Woody and Matt?
They're fantastic. They're great. They're great guys, and they're great friends. And it was really so special to watch their dynamic as friends and as actors. They really brought out the best in each other, and they were really at odds as characters. But in between scenes, of course, and takes and things like that, they have a lot of fun together.
She was amazed at the fact that you two could play these kind of roles because she's such good friends and how to interact with each other. What's your relationship with Woody?
Woody's one of my best friends. Woody and I've worked together a few times. When Woody and I get together, it's hard to even tell where I start and he ends and he starts and I end. And it's one of the great things about our relationship. It's very easy. When we get going, we just start improvising, and usually it's comedic. These roles in True Detective were the opposite of that. It was not about, I had a very different character than Woody did, and a very different relationship with him than Woody and I do in real life. So when we first started shooting and he started to act like some Woody to me, and me being Rust and Gold would just sit there and blank face him, and he was like, what are you doing? And so he was thinking, we both thought, boy, this could be a really long shoot, because we're not going to be able to jive like we usually do. And I'm glad we stuck to our guns, because for my money, when I watched True Detective, I did find humor in his frustration with my character. I did find humor in my character's sort of indifference or obtuse answers to anything he would say. And it became comedic for me.
Did you think it would be the hit it became?
I don't know if I thought it would be. I mean, it sort of became a small phenomenon. I mean, it became the Monday morning water cooler talk. Yeah. Of which I was part of, because I watched it like everybody else every Sunday night. I didn't watch all the screeners right when I got them. I didn't watch anything until everyone else did. So Monday morning, I had the same questions as everyone else did. And mind you, people thought I had an inside track because I was in it, which I did. But all I really knew and remembered was how it began and how it ended. I didn't know where they were going to cut the episodes. So I was as surprised as everybody.
Are you self-critical when you watch yourself?
Sure.
Do you say, I would have done this different?
Not necessarily like that. First thing I'll see is if I catch myself acting. If I go, ooh, catch yourself acting. Then I'll sometimes go back, because I'll keep a log of my days, and I'll have a look at what I had written that day, where my head was, and try not to repeat it.
Isn't that a slim difference between acting and watch yourself? I mean, you are acting.
Yeah, but I don't want to see myself acting. Meaning, I don't think we don't ever want to see an actor acting. We want it to look like they're not acting at all. Of course we're acting, but we don't want it to look like we're acting. And if you catch somebody acting, if I catch myself acting, that means that I wasn't as doing my job.
Now, there's a new cast of True Detective,
Yeah.
right? Is it Colin
Colin
Farrell?
Farrell, Vince Vaughn, Taylor Kitsch.
What do you make of that?
I'm excited about it. I understand Colin's got a plum role, of which I'm confident. He's absolutely got the ability to go nail that, whatever that is. I'm also very excited about the Vince Vaughn side
It's
of
a
it.
departure for him.
Yeah, but he's got this. I've seen him. He was in a film with Sean Penn that Sean directed. That you see a more straight dramatic side to him. He's a smart guy, and I look forward to him. Nick Pizzolatto, the creator's words coming out of his mouth. I'm excited about that role because I think a lot of people think that's sort of the wild card role. Wait, what's Vince Vaughn doing in True Detective? I think that could be a really, I think we got a real chance to see Vince in a way that we'd like to see him that we haven't seen him before.
More with Matthew right after this. I remember when you were on for Dallas Buyers Club and you'd lost all that weight.
Yeah.
You had to reveal that you didn't have cancer.
Yeah.
Did it surprise you how well that movie was received?
I don't know if it surprised me. I had inherent expectations for what that could be. I mean, I was blown away by the script. I loved the story. And then I have this guy, and then I got into him. The right director came on, and when we were making it, it felt like we were making something special. And it was already a special story that I was like, this is highly original. It hasn't been told this way before, and boy, if we just tell it right. And I thought we did. And so, you know, I expected it to hit a nerve. I expected people for it to translate. Now, it translated for a long time. It hung around and it affected people. It still affects people.
It's on HBO now.
Is it?
Yeah.
I just run into people that come up and have personal things to say, whether it's a thank you, whether they have someone who they know had HIV, or whether they have it now, or where they lived through that time. It's a movie that affected people, and it hung around a long time and made a nice imprint.
Was that tough to get into, that role?
Well, I mean, tough as in the work to get into it, but here's what's not tough. It's so clear what I needed to do. I mean, the character had such an identity. I wasn't having to ruminate and make up things to try and get into him. I mean, I had work to do on that guy I could still be doing work on that guy. And I'm not just talking about weight loss. I'm talking about studying what the guy did with his Buyers Club, who he was before he had HIV. I mean, had his diary. So I had plenty of stuff directly that I needed to dive into. Was that hard work? Was it diligent work? Yes. But it wasn't hard in the respect of it was all there for me to do. So, you know.
I loved you in Killer Joe.
Kind of like Killer Joe.
As dark a movie as has ever been made is Killer Joe. That was a play.
Yeah, Tracy Letts.
Yeah. But now, when you assume a role like that, do you have to like the guy?
I like the guy. I mean,
Who killed people?
I like Joe. Mind you, I was playing Joe. I was Joe. So, you know, I mean, I'm not saying I've got to, you know, Joe's not the guy you want to have over to babysit the kids. But I found Joe really an interesting mind, yeah.
There's a commercial you do, Ellen DeGeneres makes some fun of it. I drive that car.
You do?
Yes. I've always driven Lincolns.
Okay.
I've just been a Lincoln guy.
Yeah, right.
Are you telling the truth in that commercial?
I am telling the truth. Now, I have other cars, but I have driven a Lincoln before, and I now have a Lincoln in my driveway.
And how did that come about? They came to you to say, do you drive? Did they know you drove Lincolns?
That wasn't the first question.
What was?
I mean, the first question, and it didn't really come to me, when it came to me was through a guy I work with who said, you know, Lincoln Cars interested in Lincoln Motor Company are interested in working with you, for you to not necessarily be a salesman, but sort of a storyteller, and of authenticity in sort of their welcoming of their new brand into the luxury market. And I looked at their premises of their ideas. I talked with each one of them. I've been to Detroit. And
You really get involved?
Yeah, I went through and really wanted to heard their history and where they are now and where they want to go, and why they want to go there. And we found a synchronicity in the messages that we wanted to get out there. And plus, it was also, for me, I like the brand. It's good money. It's something to do on the side. It's fun to go shoot. Went and worked with Nicholas Winding Refn, who did Drive, interesting director. We're in Marfa, Texas, making up these ideas with a great ad agency, and it was a lot of fun.
MKS is a wonderful car.
Yeah.
Now they got the bigger one, they got the
Yes, they do.
SUV kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's really a great car. And now they got a limo-like. You know,
They have a limo-like?
Well, it's like a limo.
Okay.
Where they take the MKS, expand it a little.
Okay.
And if you order a limo in New York, you might get an MKS.
Okay.
Very well done. Was that a long shoot?
No, not at all. We shot in Austin 1 or 2 days, and then Marfa, Texas. It was 3 days total. 5 commercials, 3 days. And we're about to go shoot the next set.
So you're into this now?
I'm into it.
You didn't think it was beneath you to do a commercial?
No. No, and I also looked at like this. I want to find, if I'm going to do a commercial, it's not a guarantee, but I want to find something, one, that's not going to be something that may be deemed beneath me, or do something that is like just, oh, why did he go do that? I also then say, well, I want to do more than just get away with it. I actually want to do one that I said, you know what, I want to make a series. If we can make a commercial that I look at and I go, I think that's good. Actually, I like that, McConaughey, on its own. And I feel like we did that with the Lincoln.
How's family life?
Wonderful, busy, wild, 6'4" and 2, and my wife and I, and we're traveling. They're going to travel some of the globe with me on this Interstellar tour. But everyone's healthy.
Are you doing a big tour for this movie?
Yeah.
Like where?
China, Europe, New York a couple of times, LA a couple of times.
Was that part of the deal, that you'd be that committed to the film?
No, it's not part of the deal. It's part of the plan, of which I definitely want to engage in. You know, I've seen the film. I had a great experience on the film. I like Christopher Nolan, who I worked with. We've become friends. I like the film. Makes it much easier to say, yes, I'm ready to go around the world and stand in front of this and help present it.
You had to like your character.
Yeah, I like Cooper a lot, absolutely.
Cooper's great. Matthew will answer your social media questions next. We have some social media questions. At Merrick's Madison on Twitter, what's your favorite sci-fi movie of all time?
Yeah. Well, it was 2001, if you could call that sci-fi.
Yeah, that was sci-fi.
I would say that was. And, you know, I don't know, can you call Interstellar sci-fi?
What else would you call it?
Well, it's a hell of a intimate human drama right in the middle of all the sci-fi.
Well, Isaac Asimov told me once, the secret of good sci-fi is a good story.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Those don't get done. You know, they don't. That's not parlayed that often.
No.
And it is an Interstellar, so I would have to say Interstellar now would be my favorite.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
I like The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Okay.
That was a good movie. See what I see on Twitter. What would you do differently if you were president?
What would I do? That's a great question. I can answer that one so quickly. I don't know what the heck I'd do differently. We don't have enough time.
Does aging scare you? Jennifer Cameron on Facebook. Do you see aging as a door into new and different roles? You're not aging yet, are you?
I mean, I am aging. Shoot.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I'm in. So far, I've enjoyed the aging process. We're getting older. I don't know. You customize more, as you know. You customize more in your life.
I know.
You know what you like. You know what works for you. You know what doesn't. That leads to some more self-satisfaction and happiness.
We have some quick questions if you only knew. Remember the first girl you kissed?
Yes.
What was her name?
No, I'm not saying her
Okay.
name. You know who you are, though.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, that invisible one's pretty
Me
interesting.
too. Invisible, man.
No need to fly.
No need to fly. Time travel or space travel?
Time travel or space travel? How different are those?
Aha. Sharp answer. What time period would you like to go back to?
Oh, well, look, I caught the end of a great decade, and I was born in '69, which a lot of great things happened. We did put a man on the moon.
Yeah, you were born that year.
I was born that year. What else happened? Woodstock, Charlie de Gaulle was kicked out.
Yeah.
And what else? The Longhorns won the national championship. I caught the end of a great decade.
Texas is not doing too well.
No, but I love where we are going.
Got a good coach.
Yes,
You still think the Redskin name is okay?
I do.
You're a Redskin fan. I like the Redskins.
I do too.
It does offend some people, though.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't bother you.
It's going to. offend some people. Obviously, some people have come forward, you know. But I think it's fine. I think it's got enough. You know, the Redskins never went pejoratively on the name. They didn't take it to the negative, and they've used it for the positive.
Why not the Cowboys?
Well, I grew up outside of Dallas, so ideally I would have been a Cowboy fan, and for whatever reason, I just wasn't. I mean, like I've told the story before, but when you're 4 years old and you're watching Westerns rooting for the Indians, and your favorite food is hamburgers, and they have a middle linebacker, number 55, named Chris Hamburger, those are three synchronous reasons why a 4-year-old kid likes the Redskins. And then you follow Riggins and Joe Gibbs and the Fun Bunch and the Hogs.
I lived with them.
Yeah.
I was there through his Super Bowls. Hey, Matt, always great seeing you, man.
Good to talk to you.
Matthew McConaughey, I'd like to thank him for being my guest. Do not miss Interstellar. I've given the quotes to the PR people. It opens November 7th. I can't tell you anything more except to say, truthfully, you have never seen a movie like this.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at King's Things, and I'll see you next time.